During the time of ancient Japan, back when it is known as the Land of Wa, its people struggle to survive from hunting and gathering. Food is scarce, leaving these people with no idea if their next meal will be their last. A time of peace arrives with the discovery of rice, allowing Wa to turn from a land of despair into a land of plenty. However, this abundance of rice provokes disparity between those vying to claim it for themselves. Unable to share this prosperity, the people of Wa split into small countries, warring against each other for many years. In time, the people begin to dream of salvation, hoping for a divine arbiter to step in and end the conflict. As if responding to their prayers, hope arrives in the form of a shrine maiden, born with the power to receive oracles from the heavens above. Like a reflection of the stars, this maiden, Himiko, hears the whispers of what she believes are the voices of heaven. Unlike other mortals, Himiko is blessed with an unusually healthy body, free from disease and famine. Through her slumber, the divine forces in her mind feed her prophecies of the future. Uncertain of how to react to them, Himiko tries to live an ordinary, happy life, only ever telling these prophecies to her brother. Initially, he keeps this a secret, until one especially dry year when he foolishly informs the other villagers about Himiko's power. She begins to use her divinations to advise the village, leading to a bountiful harvest. Before long, the people worship her, heralding her as their queen. Himiko has no vested interest in becoming queen, yet in order to make her people smile, she takes on the title, founding the kingdom of Yamatai. As their queen and oracle, Himiko helps Yamatai expand, unifying the land under a single nation. Himiko practices a primitive form of magecraft called Kido, considered to be the prototype of Shintoism. While no formal studies have been done to break down this craft, it clearly allows her to perform her divinations as well as exorcise demonic forces. In her quest to unify the nation, she overcomes conflict through both her prophecies and through force. Her Kido can be used to fire off beams through various mirrors. In addition, her superhuman body lets her fire off her Himiko Punch, a devastating fist that shatters bones with ease. During her divinations, she uses it to literally break bones as part of the ritual, and even though she has no formal martial arts training, her strength alone is quite impressive. Mostly, however, Himiko is just a kind-hearted girl who enjoys basking in the sun with nature and bringing people smiles. Sadly, these two things wind up in strict opposition after Yamatai is finally brought together. Treated as a tool for making prophecies, Himiko rules her kingdom from within the innermost chamber of a gigantic sanctuary, guarded by sturdy fences and armed soldiers. This is in part due to how she receives her divinations in her sleep. Hoping to maintain a confident and powerful image, she receives her prophecies in private, only ever showing herself to her brother, who communicates with the people on her behalf. He hates seeing his sister in isolation when she used to love playing outside. If only he had kept Himiko's powers a secret, perhaps she could have remained a carefree woman. Instead, she has chosen the happiness of the people over her own, living as an object of worship rather than a human. Despite this choice, she is full of vitality, often trying to sneak out of the shrine. Whenever she attempts this, however, Yamatai is struck with heavy rainfall. In a bizarre anomaly, whenever she looks forward to going outside, rain accompanies her. Such an occurrence is priceless in times of need, but it remains another way in which Yamatai's prosperity comes from her own sacrifice. Left to her own devices, Himiko remains in the shrine making divinations and polishing the mirrors she uses in her magecraft. Among these mirrors is a special one, her favorite, given to her as a gift from her brother before becoming queen. Her brother feels at fault for her predicament, but on her end, she is nothing but grateful towards her doting sibling. The mirror reminds her of his dedication, running errands in her stead, and doing anything he can to lessen her burden. Even from the confines of her shrine, Himiko is a talented diplomat. Yamatai remains fairly isolated from the outside world, yet it becomes known to China when Himiko dispatches messengers to the Kingdom of Wei. Along with a generous tribute, she extends an invitation for friendly relations, and her offer is received favorably. The people of Wei acknowledge Himiko as the Queen of Wa and their friend. That isn't to say all of Himiko's foreign relations go smoothly. To the south is the kingdom of Kuna. This nation falls into chaos when its king is assassinated by a curse-wielding sorcerer named Kuko Chihiko. Usurping the throne for himself, he sends Kunakoku to invade Yamatai, sparking Himiko's greatest conflict. The source of Kuko Chihiko's power comes from resentment, conjuring evil creatures born from people's animosity. It is a curse that turns people's anger into an infectious power, manipulating victims into feelings of rage, grief, and a desire for revenge. Himiko, as an ambassador of light, strives to purify Kuko Chihiko and his army, but only succeeds at defeating them outright to protect Yamatai. It is during this conquest that she meets a young 13-year-old girl, a distant relative named Iyo, who was born into Kunakoku with similar powers. The two both receive premonitions from disembodied voices, but while Himiko hears the starry heavens, Iyo hears the voice of a dark, abysmal presence within the earth. Iyo was born with a black magatama, and her entire life has been cursed with misfortune. Her parents died to an epidemic shortly after her birth, and the relatives who took her after that died in battle. Everyone who tried to care for her perished horribly, to the point where she was banished from her own village as a shrine maiden of destruction. Isolated to a dark stone chamber, her fate was to be a sacrifice to Kuko Chihiko. Kept company only by the cursed voice of the earth, Iyo wished she had never been born. That is, until she sees light. Himiko finds her during the war and frees her from captivity. Able to walk under the blue sky together, Himiko assures Iyo that her destructive powers can be used to bring happiness. Her birth is not a sin, nor does she need to be a victim to the glow of her magatama. Himiko believes in Iyo, taking her on as a disciple after defeating Kunakoku. With the help of a caring teacher, Iyo works to control her power while also learning Himiko's Kido. She too has a resilient body, and while it is not as powerful as Himiko's, she has the ability to not gain weight no matter what she eats. If needed, Iyo can even harness a primordial strengthening spell that imbues her with the might of a beast. It is a cursed technique she learned in Kunakoku that if used in excess will turn her into a beast. Despite all this talent and assurance, Iyo still fears her abilities. When invoked to its fullest, she can call upon her noble phantasm, Divine Pearl of Dusk-Shadowed Moon, which uses her magatama to corrupt the minds of her victims. In admiration of Himiko's light, however, she suppresses this strength. Eventually, the future of Yamatai hangs in the balance when Himiko considers her own demise. With a nation so dependent on her for its survival, what will happen in her absence? After her death in the year 248 AD, a male king is first chosen as her successor. Yet, the people despise this decision, bringing about a time of chaos that is only resolved when Iyo takes over. For a while, Iyo rules Yamataikoku well, going so far as to pay tribute to Emperor Wu of the Jin dynasty in China. This maintains their peaceful relations, but eventually, it seems that Yamatai begins to walk toward the path of destruction. Details are vague, but by and large, the nation of Yamatai is lost to history as a fable. Even the records left behind by Iyo are lost to time, with modern scholars being unable to pinpoint where the kingdom even existed. Regardless, the truth of the matter, and Himiko's mysterious legend, are recorded into the Throne of Heroes. As someone who has lived for the sake of others, Himiko has personal reason to covet the Grail. Of all the prophecies she made in her life, she could never predict much about her own future. If she could, she would no doubt try to divinate her own soulmate. Thus, if given the chance, she hopes to use the Holy Grail to dramatically encounter a romantic partner. Instead, however, fate has a different future in mind. In the modern era, the Chaldea Security Organization strives to protect the human order by resolving anomalies in space-time. A singularity develops around the era of Yamatai, branching from history with the survival of Kunakoku. The kingdom's inhabitants, spiteful from their defeat, continue to live on in abyssal cavern depths, thriving off the world's animosity. Sensing this looming threat, the Singularity's Himiko leaves her kingdom to Iyo, hoping to confront Kuko Chihiko. It is here that Himiko's brother makes his greatest sacrifice. To give her the strength to endure Kunakoku's darkness, he forgoes both his name and humanity. It is a debt she can never repay, yet he does so without hesitation. This act of brotherly love allows Himiko to survive Kuko-Chihiko's darkness, even as it swallows her up. Thought to be dead, she remains weakened and isolated, but just like in her shrine, she is not alone. She can feel her brother by her side, giving her the strength to formulate a new plan. Voices from the heavens inform her of the distant future and Caldea's ability to send its master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, back in time. Betting on Ritsuka as her savior, Himiko entrusts resolving the singularity to her incarnation as a servant, hoping that one day both Himikos will reunite to finally vanquish Kuko-Chihiko. Sure enough, Ritsuka arrives in the Yamatai singularity and finds Himiko's servant form, but the passage of time has not been kind to the singularity. With a desire for revenge, Kuko-Chihiko summons the Shinsengumi elite Serizawa Kamo, entrusting him with malevolent powers. Accepting this chance at a second life, Serizawa begins gathering the animosity of Kunakoku to create a monstrous Inugami that will destroy Yamatai for him to rebuild in its ashes. Naturally, Lady Io tries to fight back, but is also swallowed by darkness. In defiance, vestiges of her soul still cling to the throne. Serizawa aims to create a false Io as a conduit for absorbing animosity, and he does so by hijacking the servant body of Oda Nobunaga. It is a foolish move, because the remnants of Io's soul reach out to Nobunaga, and the two of them work together to resist. Instead of gathering animosity, this false Io spreads it across the country, sealing it away inside Nobu-shaped Haniwa. Their goal is to buy enough time for servant Himiko to reach and defeat Serizawa. On the shore of Yamataikoku, Ritsuka meets the newly summoned Himiko, along with her brother. Having given up both his body and name, he now takes the form of a nameless tortoise. Even in this shape, he continues to help his sister, whether it be her as a servant or the one trapped in darkness. Aware that Ritsuka has come from the future, Himiko calls them Futura. Not knowing of Serizawa's scheme, however, Ritsuka and Himiko explore the kingdom to learn that Yamatai's people are being assaulted by a dark blight that turns them into demonic Shinsengumi soldiers. Cut off from the rest of the world, Yamatai suffers from foul waters, low sunlight, and poor harvests. Hoping to get to the bottom of this catastrophe, Himiko teams up with Ritsuka to investigate the Haniwa that seem to be the blight's source of strength. Yamatai's citizens finally get the chance to see their adoring queen, and are surprised to learn that the woman they worship as their divine ruler is very much down to earth. They learn that many of the stories of Himiko and her courageous feats are quite exaggerated. In truth, Himiko has flaws and makes mistakes just like anyone else. She laments this herself when learning the delicious taste of soy sauce, something she could have made in life had she understood the importance of the hishio she brought back from the Kingdom of Wei. Caldea and its servants open Himiko up to a number of delightful discoveries, and she in turn helps fight with her fists and mirrors. Her noble phantasm is Eternal Mirror that models the celestial bodies. It utilizes a myriad of mirrors to project the future for her allies. She serves as a medium between the heavens and her trusted partners, giving them divine insight during combat. Unfortunately, Ritsuka and Himiko have no idea that by destroying the Haniwa, they are returning Serizawa Kamo's gathered malevolence back to him. Thus, he sublimates all of the animosity from Kunakoku into a single monster, the Inugami, that initially seems invincible. Serizawa thinks he has Nobunaga under his control, and this hubris comes back to bite him when she slays the Inugami. This leaves Serizawa no choice but to offer himself up as a blood sacrifice, so that Kuko-Chihiko can possess him directly. Finally on the verge of obliterating Yamataikoku, Kuko-Chihiko casts Ritsuka and their servants into the same dark void he once sealed Himiko in. Of course, this is exactly what Himiko wants, as it unites both her and her servant form. From within the Dark Blight, a combined Himiko uses her noble phantasm to restore light to its true splendor, vanquishing the darkness and putting Kuko-Chihiko to rest in a wash of light. Here, Himiko is able to speak to Io once again. Their souls reconcile, accepting that Yamatai will have to move on without the help of divine prophecies. They look forward to history reaching the point where Ritsuka comes from. To that end, Himiko decides to stay on as Ritsuka's servant, leaving Io to watch over things from the sidelines. Hoping to one day also join Ritsuka, Io begs Himiko to properly introduce each other. Things seem dire for the poor disciple, but with Gudaguda shenanigans, anything is possible. Thanks for watching!
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of our anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or our YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like exclusive vids and early access.
As always,
celebrate your fandom!
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: VideoGamer75, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Lord Omagoden, Free Brick, RNG or Shuffles 1498, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Johnny Tsunami, Link Pendrago, Brandon Baker, Observer Bellis, Flash Daniel, Caitlin P, Vladimirovna, Normace, Jonathan Padua, The Taz 96, and SF Giants fan Mike. Thank you all so much.